Millions of dollars, private jets, fans around the world, and all thanks to just one single song. Sounds like a fairy tale, but what happens next? When the hype dies down, the money runs out, and the whole world expects another hit from you that you simply don't have? Today, we'll break down the stories of 10 artists who conquered the planet with one song, and find out what happened to them after. Spoiler alert, not everyone could survive their own success. From a rapper who sold records out of his car trunk and became a millionaire, to a band that was eventually sold as a trademark. From a singer who turned stuttering into a superpower, to an artist whose song became the cause of a 7-year lawsuit. Someone found themselves in religion, someone became a cooking show host, and someone, well, we'll talk about that as we go through the video. Ready to learn the truth about how one hit can change your life forever? Let's go, MC Hammer. You Can't Touch This.
Music hits me so hard, makes me say, oh my Lord.
Picture this. A poor black guy selling his first album out of his car trunk in the middle of the street, then becoming a global star. That's exactly how MC Hammer's journey began. A rapper who flipped the entire hip-hop culture with one recording. Real popularity hit him in 1990 thanks to You Can't Touch This.
Can't touch this. You can't touch this.
A track that, let's be honest, was almost entirely built on the riff from Rick James's Super Freak, recorded back in '81. And here begins the beautiful fairy tale about how one hit can make you king of the world. MC Hammer became the first hip-hop artist with diamond status, 18 million album copies, several Grammys and MTV awards, plus that iconic music video, those Aladdin pants that became a meme long before the word meme entered common usage. By the way, did you wear anything similar in the 90s? The guy didn't just rap, he turned hip-hop into a pop show, toured half the world, and earned over $10 million. But then he started spending it all.
I gotta do it, man.
Cars, a private jet, a luxury mansion, a staff of 200 people. Then came what's called life after the hype. By the mid-90s, sales dropped. Critics started calling his music too poppy for rap. And in 1996, bang, bankruptcy for $13 million. You Can't Touch This continued, bringing in revenue, but half the royalties went to the authors of Super Freak. Hammer desperately tried to regain his former glory for years, but ultimately, failure after failure. But the most interesting part began after the crash. The rapper reconsidered his life and returned to religion, becoming a Christian preacher. Since then, he's been living on a ranch in California, raising 5 children with his wife. He hasn't abandoned music though, and still appears in commercials and goes on tour. MC Hammer proved that sometimes losing everything is the only way to truly find yourself. Although honestly, I'm not sure this was a sincere conversion. More likely just a way to stay afloat. What do you think? Well, we're moving from California to sunny Spain, where the main dance hit of the 90s was born, conquering even serious politicians. Los del Rio, Macarena. What if 2 older Spanish guys from the provinces recorded a song that would tear up dance floors worldwide? That's exactly what the duo Los del Rio accomplished, who had played flamenco in local clubs their whole lives, but managed to turn a local melody into a global obsession. The real magic happened in 1992 during a tour in Venezuela. At a private party, local flamenco teacher Diana Cubillan performed a dance that so impressed the musicians that one of them, Antonio Monge, immediately improvised the phrase, "Give joy to your body, Diana." True, in the final version, he changed the name to Macarena, after his own daughter. But doesn't it seem strange to you to name a dance hit after your own child? Especially considering the song's content. At first, Macarena was just a regular track on a 1993 album. Soon the Spanish group Fangoria made a house remix for discos, but the real explosion happened 3 years later. The new version caught the attention of DJs at Power 96 radio station, and they decided to make an English language version. The song got English verses, a new beat, and became that very Bayside Boys remix that in the summer of 1996 climbed to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and held it for 14 straight weeks. But the main hook wasn't even the hit itself, but the dance. Choreographer Mia Fry simplified the complex movements from the first version to 4 simple gestures, and the whole world went crazy. They even danced the Macarena at the Democratic Party convention in the USA. $1 million question: do you know how to dance the Macarena? If yes, then confess in the comments. When was the last time you did it? By 1997, the song had sold 11 million copies. Los Del Rio only received 25% of the royalties, but even that was enough to get rich. Only in 2003, 10 years after the release, they earned $250,000. The most surprising thing, the duo is still alive and kicking. The artists continue touring worldwide, have recorded over 40 albums, sold over 100 million copies, and received 250 gold and 120 platinum records. Macarena still inspires countless covers. And in 2021, Billboard put it at 7th place in the top best songs of all time. Los Del Rio proved that sometimes one chance meeting and 4 simple movements can change not only your life, but the entire pop culture of the planet. Now we're heading to foggy Germany, which became the birthplace of the main Latin American hit of the 90s. Lou Bega, Mambo No. 5.
Little bit of Monica in my life.
Picture this: the son of a Ugandan and an Italian from Munich goes to Miami, falls in love with Latin music, and a few years later turns the whole world upside down with one song. That's exactly what happened to David Lou Bega, better known as Lou Bega. The real magic happened when he returned to Germany and met producers Frank Leo and Donald Fact. They took the instrumental Mambo No. 5 from 1949 by Cuban Mambo King Perez Prado, added words, modern beats, and got an explosive mix of retro and modern. But like MC Hammer, Lou Bega essentially just stole someone else's melody and added lyrics to it. How do you feel about this kind of creativity? In the summer of 1999, Mambo No. 5 exploded the planet. First place in most European countries, 3rd place on the American Billboard Hot 100. But the craziest thing happened in France. The song stayed at the top of the charts for 20 straight weeks, setting an absolute record. Lou Bega's debut album became #1 in Austria, Canada, Finland, and Switzerland, and Disney even ordered a children's version of the hit with cartoon character names instead of women's names.
Like Minnie, Goofy, Ludo, and Daisy.
But then the same story began that happens to many one-hit stars. The second album from 2001 only reached 54th place in Germany. The 3rd, 4th, 5th. Each subsequent one failed harder. Although in 2013, Lou Bega unexpectedly returned to the German top 10 with the track Give It Up.
Baby, give it up, give it up, baby.
A few years after the hit's release, a grandiose lawsuit began with Perez Prado's heirs. The trial lasted 7 years, and it was ultimately decided that the song had changed so much that it became a new work co-authored by Prado and Bega. Today, Lou Bega continues performing worldwide, became a Christian after a spiritual breakthrough during a storm in the Maldives, but remained an artist of one grandiose hit that taught the planet how to dance mambo. Let's move from Bavarian studios to Swedish forests, where the most insane musical hybrid in history was recorded. Rednecks, Cotton Eye Joe. What happens when Swedes mix American country with Eurodance and pretend to be real American farmers? Failure? Not at all. Rednecks is born, a group that conquered the entire world with one track and forever changed the idea of what dance music is. In 1994, they took the old American folk song Cotton-Eyed Joe,
Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton-Eyed Joe?
added synthesizers, a drum kit, and banjo, and got an absolute hit. Critics were horrified, but Cotton-Eye Joe exploded all the charts. 15 weeks at #1 in Norway, 13 weeks in Switzerland, 10 weeks in Germany. Platinum certifications poured in like from a horn of plenty. The secret of success? No one before them had thought to turn polka into techno madness. The music video in a barn with a mechanical bull became iconic. MTV played it non-stop, and the phrase Cotton Eye Joe stuck in the heads of millions of people worldwide. As you might have guessed, after such stunning success, the group faced a problem familiar to many one-hit artists. The following singles couldn't repeat the magic of Cotton Eye Joe. Worse, the group's lineup began changing with kaleidoscopic speed. Over the years of existence, more than 25 members passed through Rednecks. By 2000, the founders decided to turn the group into a kind of entertainment circus, an idea that didn't appeal to the musicians. As a result, the entire lineup was replaced wholesale, then again, and again. The funniest thing is that Cotton Eye Joe continued living its own life. The song became a meme long before the internet era, the soundtrack to countless parties and sporting events. But Rednecks themselves turned into a faceless brand where members changed like stage sets. In 2023, the group was even sold for €2 million to the son of one of the former members, to preserve the legacy for a new generation of fans. Can you imagine? They sold the group like a trademark. Rednecks once again proved that sometimes one genius track can overshadow the entire rest of your career, but it will live forever. Cotton Eye Joe still makes people dance, even if they have no idea who Rednecks are. Honestly, I still don't understand how this song became a hit. It's complete absurdity. Do you like Cotton Eye Joe? Or do you also think it's a musical nightmare? Meanwhile, we're heading to sunny Italy, where 3 guys decided to paint the world blue. Eiffel 65, Blue, Da Ba Dee. 1998, Turin's Bliss Corporation studio. Keyboardist Maurizio Lobina plays a simple melody on the keyboards. Vocalist Jeffrey J picks it up, and DJ Gabri Ponte adds the finishing touches. And suddenly, Blue, Da Ba Dee is born with one of the most recognizable hooks in electronic music history. What's with the strange name, Eiffel 65? Surprisingly, the computer chose the word Eiffel randomly, and 65 got there by mistake. The producer wrote a phone number on the same sheet, and the designer decided those numbers were part of the name. But the real madness began when the song hit radio in 1999.
Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
First place in 18 countries and a Grammy nomination. The debut album hit the top 5 of Billboard 200. Incredible results for an Italian electronic project. The secret of success? The nonsense was so catchy that the whole world started singing along to incomprehensible words. The music video with blue aliens became iconic, although critics included it in the list of 50 worst videos of all time. Brain teaser. What did you hear instead of Da Ba Dee Da Ba Die in the 90s and 2000s? The internet still discusses this meaningless phrase. As often happens with mega hits, repeating the success proved impossible. The next single was also popular, but not as massive. And the albums from 2001 and 2003 failed internationally. In 2005, the group essentially disbanded. Gabri Ponte left for a solo career, and Lobina and Jay created the duo Bloom 06 because the rights to the name Eiffel 65 remained with the label. They reunited only in 2010, but without Ponte. In 2025, Gabri Ponte went to Eurovision representing San Marino, but instead of former success, he faced a new failure. Last place in the final. By the way, our channel has a cool video about the worst acts at Europe's main song contest. Definitely check it out. However, Blue, Da Ba Dee continues living its own life. The song became a meme and movie soundtrack, including Iron Man 3. That's how one absurd hit forever secured the group's place in pop culture history. Returning to foggy Germany, where a Trinidadian singer asked the question that has tormented humanity for centuries. Hadaway, what is love?
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me.
What happens when a guy with Trinidadian and German roots, performing in Cologne taverns, meets the producers of Bad Boys Blue? What Is Love is born, a track that in 1993 exploded Europe like an atomic bomb. Tony Hendrick and Karen Van Haren, those same producers, suggest he sing their new song in Joe Cocker's style. But Haddaway responds, "I love Joe Cocker, but I'm not Joe Cocker," and does it his own way. The result? First place in 13 countries, including Austria, where What Is Love stayed at the top for 9 whole weeks. By the way, did you know that the female vocals in the song are just a stock sample for DJs? And that very music video where Haddaway in tight pants jumps on a fireplace mantle and demonstrates his vampiric strength. MTV played it on infinite loop. Honestly, this video looks so ridiculous that I still don't understand how it didn't become a meme before its time. 2.6 million copies worldwide by 1994, gold status in the USA and Britain. It seemed the guy had conquered the world forever. But here's the catch. A couple more hits, and the magic started to dissipate. Albums from the late 90s and 2000s failed in the charts. Haddaway participated in reality shows, trying to regain fame, and performed mainly in the East, in Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and Russia. True, What Is Love got a second life in the late 90s, thanks to Saturday Night Live and the movie A Night at the Roxbury.
I can't. Keep going.
The main characters, the Bitabi brothers, made it their signature theme, and the whole world again sang along to What Is Love, Baby, Don't Hurt Me. Now, Haddaway lives in Austria, sponsors a baseball team, and still releases music. A classic story. One hit can give you immortality, but holding the world's attention is a completely different task. Next stop, Denmark, where 4 guys decided to turn a children's toy into the most scandalous hit of the decade. Meet this pink madness, Aqua, Barbie Girl. 1997. Danish-Norwegian group Aqua had already conquered local charts with their first singles, but no one expected their third song to become both a global hit and a legal nightmare. The idea came to keyboardist Soren Rasted after visiting an art exhibition where one of the exhibits was a planet made of Barbie dolls. The phrase, "life in plastic, it's fantastic," arose in the musician's head, and he realized this would work. Line Nystrom became Barbie with a squeaky voice. Renee Diff became Ken with lustful intonations. That's how Barbie Girl was born. The result exceeded all expectations. First place in more than 10 countries, 4 weeks at the top of British charts, 7th place in the USA. A rarity for European pop groups of that time. 8 million copies worldwide. A music video with 1 billion views on YouTube. Even critics were delighted by the sickeningly sweet but catchy track. But I don't understand. How can adults listen to Barbie Girl without shuddering? Or am I the only one who's so boring? Meanwhile, Mattel Corporation, the legendary dolls manufacturer, entered the game. They sued the group's label, accusing them of turning Barbie into a sex object and damaging the brand's reputation. 5 years of legal proceedings. In the end, the judge made a brilliant decision. The parties are advised to chill out and close the case. Then, the classic scenario of one-hit groups. The subsequent few singles still held in the tops, but by the early 2000s, interest in Aqua began to fade. The new album failed, and the group disbanded in 2001. What happened next? Reunion in 2007, new album in 2011, tours in Australia. But the real revival happened in 2023 when Mattel, the same ones who sued, licensed Barbie Girl for the Barbie movie and commissioned a remix from Nicki Minaj and Ice Spice. Pure irony of fate. The new Barbie world entered the top 10 in Billboard Hot 100 and even brought the group Grammy nominations. Aqua returned to action and continues touring the world. Whether they'll disband again, time will tell. From the pink world of dolls, we enter jazz clubs where a stuttering American turned his flaw into a superpower. Meet Scatman John. Scatman, skiba bop ba dop bop. A man over 50 with severe stuttering hides behind a piano in jazz clubs his whole life, then suddenly becomes a dance sensation of global scale. Sounds incredible, but that's exactly what happened to Scatman John, a man who turned his main complex into a superpower. His life turned upside down in 1994 with Scatman, Skiba Bop Ba Dop Bop, a track that sounded like an insane experiment. Jazz nonsense scat plus house beats plus rap equals #1 hit in 10 countries. And here began an incredible story about how a flaw can become an advantage. John Larkin suffered from stuttering his whole life, but when he started scatting, magically, all speech problems disappeared. Larkin didn't just sing, he proved to an entire generation that age means nothing. At 52, he became a global star with gold and platinum records. The black and white music video played on all music channels, and the whole world hummed his Skiba Bop Ba Dop Bop. He was especially loved in Japan, where the album Scatman's World sold over 1 million copies. But the coolest thing, Scatman didn't forget his roots. He created a foundation to help stuttering children and received an award for his contribution to fighting speech disorders. Unfortunately, the fairy tale was short. In 1998, the singer was diagnosed with lung cancer, and in December 1999, John passed away at the age of 57. But Scatman continues to live. In 2024, the track made it to the top 7 best Eurodance rhythms of all time. Scatman John's story proves that sometimes our biggest weaknesses can become our greatest strengths. By the way, doesn't it seem to you that modern music lacks such sincere, kind stories? But while Scatman John was conquering Europe with his unusual style, on the other side of the Atlantic, a group was forming that would soon create one of the most powerful hits of the 90s. No Doubt, Don't Speak. Here's how it happens. An ordinary ska punk band that had been spinning in the local scene since 1986 records a debut album in 92, and it crashes spectacularly, only 30,000 copies. Sounds like the end? Not at all. This band was No Doubt, and stunning success awaited them. The label had practically buried the group, refusing to promote their music, but creativity was saved by personal drama. When in 1994, bassist Tony Kanal broke off a 7-year relationship with vocalist Gwen Stefani, she remembered an old romantic song, Don't Speak, that she had written with her brother Eric. But here's what's surprising. The song, which was originally about love, after reworking began telling a completely opposite story about painful breakup. In 1995, the album Tragic Kingdom was released, and Don't Speak exploded all the charts. The song spent a record 16 weeks at #1 in the American Airplay chart, although it officially couldn't get into Billboard Hot 100. Back then, there was a rule that without a physical single, the road was closed. The music video became a real revelation. Before filming, the group was on the verge of dissolution and perceived working on the video as a kind of therapy. One half of the video showed the musicians on stage and at rehearsal base, while the other showed how the media focused only on Gwen, leaving the rest of the group in the shadows. Prophetic footage, considering that later this very thing would destroy the group. Don't Speak made No Doubt international stars, the album received diamond status, and the group toured the world with a 27-month tour. But the paradox is that the song about breakup ultimately destroyed the group itself. After a couple of albums, Gwen Stefani focused on solo work, and the group took a multi-year break. Today, Stefani remains a bright pop music star, although far from the peak of her 2000s fame. She occasionally works as a mentor on The Voice, releases albums, and still performs Don't Speak at concerts. The other group members are also busy in other projects, though less well-known ones. As for No Doubt itself, their last studio album saw the light in 2012. After years of reunion attempts, they finally took the stage in 2024 at Coachella Festival, almost 10 years after their silence. And in early 2025, they even gave a charity concert supporting wildfire victims in California. But these are more nostalgic performances than an attempt to return. No Doubt's story proves that sometimes life's most painful moments birth the most beautiful songs. and the most beautiful songs can become the beginning of the end. Do you like Gwen Stefani's solo work?
This my shit. All the girls stomp your feet like this.
Or was it better before? The final story takes us to the harsh streets of American ghettos, where one well-read guy decided to tell the world the truth about life. Coolio, Gangsters Paradise. Just think, an asthmatic from a Los Angeles suburb who spent his childhood in libraries to escape the harsh reality of the neighborhood. Then he became part of it himself, and wrote a song about it that the whole world heard. This is Coolio's story, a rapper who changed hip-hop with one track. The stellar moment came in 1995 with the song Gangsters Paradise, recorded with LV's participation. It's his voice we hear in the chorus. The track was based on Stevie Wonder's composition, Pastime Paradise, from '76. Yes, plagiarism again. But Wonder not only didn't sue, he even performed with Coolio and LV on the same stage. Then began a real fairy tale about how one song can make you a global star. Gangsta's Paradise became the #1 hit in 15 countries, stayed at first place in Australia for 14 weeks, and became the first rap track in England to immediately fly to the top of the charts. Coolio created not just rap, he made a dark song about ghetto life. The track with a choir, sad strings, and a line from the Bible became the soundtrack to the movie Dangerous Minds, and won a Grammy, MTV Awards, and millions of sales. A former firefighter and security guard who battled substance addiction in his youth suddenly became one of the most famous rappers on the planet. And then what? Everything standard. Life after the mega hit. New songs didn't hit the same way. The record company dropped him, and subsequent albums didn't even make the charts. Gangsta's Paradise continued bringing money and fame, but repeating such success didn't work out. Coolio tried everything, participated in reality shows, hosted cooking programs, even ran for politics. But you know what's saddest? A tragic end. In September 2022, Coolio died from an overdose. He was 59 years old. The man who sang about the dangers of street life became its victim himself. But Gangsta's Paradise lives on. The song gets billions of plays, and in 2023 made it to the top best pop songs of all time according to Billboard. Coolio once again proved that sometimes one song is enough to remain in music history forever. These are the one-hit wonders, people who created the soundtrack to an entire generation's life. Some managed to survive their fame and find new meaning. Some remained prisoners of their own success, and some couldn't handle the burden of popularity. The phenomenon of one-hit wonders shows us how fragile fame can be, even when the whole world sings your song. And here one involuntarily remembers the opposite example, Michael Jackson, who managed to turn nearly every one of his singles into a global hit. The story of his incredible rise and tragic fall is already waiting for you on our channel. Perhaps for some, one truly great song is enough for a happy life, but it seems to me that such success is a creative curse. What do you think? Is it better to be a one-hit wonder with a genius song, or an average star with a dozen good but not too popular songs? Share your opinion in the comments. And of course, write if you want to see a second part. We're ready to tell many more incredible stories. See you in new videos.